Okay, we've read Zach's part. I guess I'll read this part real quick and then I'm gonna. Actually, I need to get up for a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Also, welcome people joining me. I am playing the Letter, a visual novel that has turned out to be quite pleasant. Well, not pleasant is not the correct word for what it is, I guess. It's good though. The pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross the threshold. Faint, but light and warm, a reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commending gaze, Ma's tender smile. The sunlight filters through the eaves of the morning. The distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something is cooked in this room. The room, our room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I too, eventually. But we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we learn how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than usual than it usually is. The walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma singing ceases. Ma singing ceases.
No, please wait. I'll be good. I'll sleep on time. Don't go.
I can't hear Pa. Oh shit! Not above the raucous clanging and deafening roar of gunshots or the screams replacing comforting soft melodies. There's only the blinding fear. And when my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid. But the blood that drips in my hand is warm, warm, warm. It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill of the AC brings, my shirt clings to me tightly, and my blanket's tangled mess around my throat. Morning has not even arrived yet, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
And too long. Too long since I last woken up drenched in my own sweat, head tilted, thoughts that are gone as soon as our eyes are open. All too often, only imprints and brief images left that haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the depression sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and there's a twinkle in Ma's eyes as she's looking up from her work, flour dust in her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it. The homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing me to come closer. The moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expect him to be angry, but he pats me on my back, and when I come within his arm's reach, he encourages. It is encouraging enough. I have to taste these first before we put them up for sale tomorrow. You up to it, little man? is good enough. A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen and when Pa moves to answer. But I know what waits outside. There's taste of blood in my mouth and an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles on her tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains out of disarray. The wall still needing a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. It never really did anything to stave off the headache sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa. The urgency with each rap finally chases away the ghost threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would have chased him away with a broom if she was here. But no matter, it's a welcome break from the thoughts about to take a morbid turn when if left to fester. It's probably just Ash anyway, looking for a place to crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders, why is he bothering with the courtesy when he never did so before? Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew long overnight and he's wearing a ponytail, of course. Which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny it is. Funny that look is in my head. I'll waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is pallid, shoulders tense, heavy, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hands as she tries to hold back. Hide if I didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry, I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you are the closest to my office, and...
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
Is this after I got attacked at the end of her scenario? Curious. I'm really curious. She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead, her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands, and as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture. Easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who's seen the same expression in the mirror, done the same thing too many times to when night terrors are inevitable, it's not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and saunter over to the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clink of plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it is, it may be for a snack. The familiar motions keep me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thought. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for showing up here, if such an outward doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I turn her away, as frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her and she finally enters, feeling feet shuffling softly against the tiles of the floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her upbeat spirit. Yet, in this particular moment, she stands in my doorway holding her arms close to herself. As if blah blah. It is as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please.
Hold the fuck up. Isabel just turned down food. What is happening? This is definitely after the office.
Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. Feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry. New freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually, she'd have something more to say about that. Equip a witty remark to provoke laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we left hanging seems disconcerting, where everything turns stifling and awkward. I continue talking only to keep the dead air at bay. How is one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
Curled up on one side of the couch, her knees close to her when I bring the tray, carrying the sandwiches and water as she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
Tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided as she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she's quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me to ask questions. Worrying. The sudden loss of words is about as... This is about a quiet not normally present in our chats. Even her cheeks... Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take a seat is a welcome break. Although the company is familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains their glass of the remaining contents. One would think it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it in her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened. To Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of hot bath, the television blaring audibly murmuring in the background, and a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects would strike someone so close to me.
Oh, damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will.
Besides, that ain't what's bothering her, homeboy.
Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest.
That is not explaining anything.
Even the most hardworking people I know don't keep hours as late as this.
Yeah, this is totally after the attack in her section.
Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
I don't think she wants to be alone right now, buddy.
No! Wait, please!
Can I stay? The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause. This is the instant mass she's been keeping up. This is the instance in which the mask she's been keeping up falls apart, only for a short while. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare at the moment she arrives. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such marring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and I kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling me enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
Oh boy. The sound of the glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows labored.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the sides of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word. Each plea comes out of her mouth.
Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
All right, Isabella. Look at me. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulders when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close, too similar.
Breathe. Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please. No more. I don't want... I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask any more. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much. We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that. I take it as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either one of us can get hurt. Quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go about my menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or my little feeble attempts to tell the quick story. But the latter does the trick. Soon enough, she's already drifted off by the time I return this promised glass of water. Her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain of her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed, hugs herself tighter again, a mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon. For her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. There's still a lot of questions left to be answered. But this later hour, coupled with the sudden exhaustion, made my old couch a more comfortable bed than it typically is. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits the chip pillow. I can only wish the dreams that will keep at distance for both of us. Okay, so this is before party. Look at the note. Let's see what's happened. Where we can actually look at Zach's timeline too. I guess I should answer that phone though, huh? Let's answer the phone. A few notes while muffled enough to wake me. At the end of in the end, it became one of those nights where sleep passed in a blink of an eye, and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lifted my hand to rub away my drowsiness from my eyes, but it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to a cool morning light, washing everything in a subtle gray hue. At this hour, the entire city remains Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button. Twice or thrice just catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. The persistence of the ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the bed. The ringing still hasn't stopped, even as I fished out the phone. Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Alright, now we can look at the journal. We have Zach. Zach is 31. Actually, how old? Like, Isabella was 26. It's 31. Zach's 31. Perfect for each other. I'm telling y'all, man. And then Zach, I ship it. I guess it's appropriate to shift stuff like that, but whatever. Likes pie, photography, filmmaking, filmography, documentaries, cooking, acoustic guitar, and video games. My kind of dude. So Marianne's next, and Becca and Ashton. I'm interested where their stories go, but I'm invested in Zach. I'm impressed. I'm invested in this precious boy that must be protected at all cost. Must be protected at all cost. Okay. Some more water. Okay, before his parents' death, he lived in New Jersey with his family owned a diner and bakery. He and his older sister were orphaned due to a hate crime, where they were forced to move to England, where their grandparents lived. He had a love for cooking and helped out with their old diner, but grew lazy and disinterested after the incident. It did not help that he was one of the few blacks in predominantly white community at the time. His passion for the visual arts sparked when he found some old Polaroids and movies of it from his parents. Freelancing helped pay his rent, but the man had long set his eyes on the sights of the indie film scene. It was during the creation of his first documentary that a robbery occurred, and Ashton was there to investigate it. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time led Zachary to be in place as a subject, but the rookie detective helped clear his name. Man, that's a damn shame. Okay, timeline stuff. Let's see. I think it was everything happened with pictures. Pictures happen. So that's the first thing on the 25th. This is the end of Isabella's part where she office. Okay, so he hasn't met Hannah yet. He's getting a call on that. I do appreciate how this is like overlapping. Okay. Back to the story.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet.
Man, mine's half asleep right now, bruh.
Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
Oh my god, 20 minutes makes a difference. What the hell?
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
The fuck you can.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Might be. Might be.
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, not sure how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, what's bothering her ain't mine to speak on in the first. Huh, I wonder if I'm gonna be asked to tell him anything. Sometime during her sleep, she pulled the blankets over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes or how much her lips trembled. Save for her firm grip on the edge of the cover, she appears to be nearly as normal as she would be any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something. The worry, the concern must have surfaced in my tone because his tone shifted. Carefully, he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think... Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking one second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him. The way he falls silent is if the way he's falls silent after is telling. But whatever his opinion is, stays absent from his voice when he's in. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
He drops the call before I can even get a word in. After several minutes, I find myself listening to the rest of Luxport. Who's this? The increasing sound of passing traffic. Oh god, I can't read. Rises, that's what it's. Rouses to like, yeah, whatever. Oh, I didn't even look at the background. I like this. Other that flower. Like, did he take a picture of that flower? Is that supposed to be a picture of a flower? I don't know. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of nearby shops preparing for the day, the growing clamor of people while they go out on their routes about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wait, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me as I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. We'll have a day to get through. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial ghost hanging around. The orange bottle sitting on the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The odor of the capsules, yet the weight they carry is something I'd never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck, even hours staring at a single pill prior to taking one. Now it's just routine, but to stave off unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased when he finds out I'm relying on them. I do owe him a visit, regardless. Especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his call for weeks. Another sigh comes out. Tired and weary, then I pop the tablet.
Zach? What time is it?
Ball in my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. Much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. Chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young to be responsible, inexperienced and immature even. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can. To overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigation or for Rebecca's needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to definitely put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table and my hand says something, it's that I won't be able to avoid the question this.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
I put you there.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary.
Yeah, but he's a gentleman.
Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana will give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime.
Oh, except Ash.
Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
The concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another cursory glance over the table and back to the bottle, holding a very small piece of what seems to be a very bad to keep a bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrific look on Ma's face as she watched him fall lifeless to the ground, every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smoke. You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong. It never stops, doesn't it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her hand toward asking a question without really asking. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would be a little amazed, not at a loss for words at that. It's left it up to me whether I give her the response that she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone would ask me. Yeah, we'll tell her the truth. But it's never easy, isn't it? Ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It never will be, not by a long shot. Not with what I've let stay, not with what I've let stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are nightly occurrence. You can't force yourself to get better and move on with things. It's what's normal now that I can only cope. Question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I do not owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few people I can trust with it. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No one ever, never not to the full. That alone is expecting too much of her and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. That's all I can ask for.
My bad. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set them back to the usual. Always the small area closest to my laptop near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right?
Way to play it off, girl.
I can run real quick and...
You stop.
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It's far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp out the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
Feels like yesterday. She does. True to her word, she listens to the story while stories spill out of my mouth of Ma and Pa in a little old diner across the pond. What it left me in that day. I can't recall most of it now. My own account is jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident, except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ring of gunshots as vivid as the sound of that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hit the floor motionless. This life's blood flowing out from the gunman, smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet in the Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I've never believed until that moment.
Anna and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
I expected questions, mostly brimming with childhood curiosity, maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent an ear, and looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this. Easy to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me. A bit awkward considering the gap in our height. But she gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer it in kind. If I'm even supposed to reciprocate a gesture given my early apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself. It is obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Oh? Okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry. I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. But I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face. Brief, fleeting, and disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries.
Stop lying to me,
I'll
Bella!
be fine. Look, about last night... Never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, and in knowing that I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow, I found myself worrying for her instead. Make another attempt to get the story out of her. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something will yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there is only so much I can risk that it won't result in something like something a little over disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe. Often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say about the happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, as if it has been simply waiting for the cue all this time, or something mumbles it. Rather loudly, as if...
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry.
Oh, you're totally that hungry.
Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here.
There is nobody dead, Jolly. Everybody is alive. In fact, I've been through a whole nother line of story. See, I did Isabella, she live, cause like this is after what happened with her. Then I did Hannah and she live too. Now I gotta keep Zachary alive. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream.
Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she says idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about?
Yes. Yes,
I'll
I do.
have you know, I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Between us, the constant chopping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely sure. Not entirely usual. We had moments like this before. But definitely with how things are now. I wish someone else would come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping the conversation going has never been my forte. That and has always been Isabella or Rebecca's apartment. Sometimes Ash, though, almost coming from him. Sometimes Ash, although most coming from him, borders on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back. I'm willing to bet my entire year's salary that he fell right back asleep at that call. Or not.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wake up.
Potatoes.
If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never really been keen on the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you. This guy. All 13 of my locks he's broke. Can attest to that. Goddamn. He broke 13 locks, really? Like, no, that's not friendship. I need a restraining order. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Izzy, man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm before he begins to usher her out of my apartment, throwing a casual wave as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. Sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down. The force enough alone hauls them both and catches the taller man off guard. Would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashed into her, Isabella gives him the indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are on his face all at once. Two things that are rarely ever graced if it. So let me check something. Thought about it. Dates. Okay, so I've only been to this date. I haven't been to 30th Halloween. Stuff's. Oh damn, Izzy's family big. That's a lot of kids. If only I had my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here.
These two, whenever they are in the same room, sometimes it feels like hurting a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, I'd have an overactive imagination. I'd say there's something. Actually, I think there is something going on there, buddy. Never mind how utterly impossible the idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter, so if I suggest so much, it's much. Alright. Shit, yeah, let's go with that.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste. Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
God damn, you making me hungry. The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over to the kitchen with mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and the salty tang of melted cheese waft through the air as soon as I open the door, and it takes out the two trays. Scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and the window open, the mouth-watering aroma lingers. Oh God, is that her stomach or mine? I haven't had dinner yet. I'm trying to wait a little bit. I am gonna have to cut this in a little bit though, cause yeah, game time in like an hour. I'm gonna play probably about another 30 minutes. I can almost smell what he just described. Oh, it's murder. Let's see how this went. Look at that. Look at that. They love me. They love me. It's appealing enough that I put the dishes down on the counter. Another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile that the sight makes. Isabella, clinging to the doorframe for support, doubles over it with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush crept into his cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from. Isabella is not going to.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Hearty meal. Man, I'm just getting achievements left and right for this. That controls branching tree. Hey, I never actually looked at this. Now we don't want to look at the. Okay. Eventually we settle down after the food has been served. The jibs replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the dead is never a good topic over food, and the polite company flight company. This case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well, since if I were in her position, as someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. But perhaps the closest we would get to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light to avoid bringing up her late business partner. It is the least we can
The
do.
Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Ermine. something.
Ermagerd!
When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers, and they're more influential than I initially thought. And I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird.
Still fishy?
Still weird, yeah?
The word you were looking for was fishy, I believe, friend? A slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways, yet at this moment it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it, rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one, especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
Whoa!
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
Damn!
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Whoa!
Hey, that was an accident.
That is a menace.
You were making a salad, Ash.
How the fuck do you set an apartment on fire making a goddamn salad, bruh? How? Is this The Sims? I don't even think Sims can do that.
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps. The casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories interesting enough to let me pass the time. Let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at the forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. You set a kitchen on fire, making a salad, Drawley. I feel disappointed in you, Mom. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Y'all really just gonna let her wander off by herself like this? Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the key he tosses up. But he doesn't give her an answer. Waves her for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks
Is
for
it
the
the
food.
friction? I mean, I'm confused. Like, how would you set a bowl of cereal on fire, Draw? Fire is not involved in the cereal making process, my friend. Bowl, cereal of some sort of your and milk. If you choose to have milk, you don't even have to have milk. You can just put the cereal in the bowl and eat it dry. I mean, think.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
She leaves. She closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening and waiting for her remaining footsteps down the hall to fade. The early amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look too well. When he's like this, he's expecting the shit to go down at some point.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
Hold on. So whatever he's concerned with has to be about Luke. Because Hannah seems like she doesn't actually know what Luke does either. She knows he runs a business, but he's always off by himself and he's an alcoholic. And he's apparently knocked up her best friend. She seems okay. So whatever he's looking into has to do with Luke. Guaranteed. I just think he thinks it's both of them.
I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is. He reaches for the knob, and as soon as he gets to the door, as soon as he gets to the door, but he doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know where he's going to ask about. It's likely a note that taking notice of it the moment I entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
I'm sure his movie was just fun.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it fully close behind him without glancing back. Mild draft sweeps through the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing papers by the fridge. A lone note flutters to my feet. A letter surfaces, glares me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion. Ermengarde! I'm sorry. You see, come on, guys. Like, chat, tell me. When you see Ermengarde, do you not think Ermengarde? Oh my God, it's a mansion. After Ashton's warnings, they hold a different meaning now.